Welcome to the Gump Report. I am Cyberdyne Series Model 808. I was originally created to kill John Connor. Are you John Connor? Are you sure? No? Good. You are here to watch the Gump Report, created by the most strangest human that I've ever experienced. Damn it! Welcome to Gump Report. I don't remember the episode. It might be 12 or 13. I don't know. Can't I just put this in my pocket? Damn it. Welcome. You never know when you're going to get on the Gump Report. If you know what that reference comes from, if you know if Cyberdyne Series, and if I'm correct, is 808, not T1, like in Terminator 2, or T1000 in Terminator 2. It is. I hope you enjoyed it. Welcome to the Gump Report. You never know what you're going to get. This is about the Broken Skull podcast with Chris Jericho. Now, I believe it was my 9th Gump Report I talked about this. I can't remember. Many of them blur together. I know that Nick Aldis was 7. I don't remember 8 or 9 or 10. I think 10 might have been the Bellas, or the 11th might have been the Bellas. I don't remember. No. Is it 11 or 12? I think I'm on number 13 of the Gump Report. I'm trying to really remember. It's so many episodes I do along with doing Impact reviews, along with doing AEW reviews, along with doing Dynamite reviews, and then I did 9 videos last week, guys. 9 videos of NWA, AEW, Impact, 2 Gump Reports, and then on top of that, 2 WrestleManias. That was a lot. I think 9. I think it was 9. I don't remember how many. But this is something I really was curious to see how far Chris Jericho was going to go. Let's put this in perspective. In my report, I believe it was Triple H who didn't know what was going to happen. He didn't know it was going to happen at all, that the suggestion was made and that Chris Jericho was going to go on the Broken Skull podcast. But he said it himself. Vince is the type to do business. Now, honestly, we're being truthful here. That's not 100% true, because when you piss off Vince, he doesn't want to do work with you. But like Chris Jericho, like The Big Show, even when it comes to Mark Calloway, or even when it comes to Kane, the actual guy, I always forget his name, Jacobs. When you talk about them, they haven't burnt any bridges to Vince. As far as Vince is concerned, these guys are going to be able to do what they want, because if they're not still having some level of contract with them, at least when they left in open terms, Vince would not be against them doing something. So and they do cover this on the Broken Skull podcast, and a good amount, about maybe 12 to 11 minutes, is devoted to talking about AEW in the very beginning. And then another 8, maybe 7 minutes talking about 10 minutes, maybe 8 to 10 minutes, talking about what happened in Tokyo for Chris Jericho. But let's crank this back. Pretty much Steve and Chris pretty much say they came up with the concept together. Chris waited for Stone Cold to Steve to talk to Vince. Vince, he spoke to him by text, and he said, okay, you could do it. So Vince on his side agreed to it. Now, of course, Tony Khan also had to agree to it, because we are talking about 2 promoters of 2 rival governments. Pretty much, they basically are their own government, their own world, basically. But 2 promotions that must be willing to play ball with each other. So, Tony Khan agreed. Vince McMahon agreed. It is on the Broken Skull podcast that is on Peacock, which was very heavily added and specified by Stone Cold Steve Austin. He is working basically for Peacock. He's not just working for WWE. He is not. He's working for Peacock more than he's working for Vince, even though he still has to report to Vince on certain things that could be controversial, that Vince may not like. Because he is still talking under the brand of WWE, which is the brand of WWE, which is currently being seen on Peacock. So Peacock, Vince, then you. That's the way it works. So what do we get for this? We got a little bit of talking about AEW and how he feels dealing with AEW, how he feels something like The Undertaker, who became a locker room leader, which he's not trying to be a locker room leader. but he is the most experienced with the most name. He made a lot of references to a good amount of people that he tried to help him in a sense to do AEW. How he perceives of working with the talent, how things should be booked in a sense. He didn't say he's a booker, but per se, but he did talk about how he reacted to the people at AEW, which was nice. Now, when you talk about the career of a Chris Jericho, and I always still call him Y2J, and he does say on the Broken Skull podcast, he never wants people, when he switched his persona from Y2J to Chris Jericho, to ever say Y2J again. I'm calling him Y2J because I like saying Y2J. But if I had to say Chris Jericho or Jericho, I could. But I know him more as Y2J than just plain Jericho. So I'm always going to call him Y2J, at least when I'm in the mood. And he goes through his life and how he went from the bottom, working in Calgary, going to AAA, I believe he went to AAA in Mexico, then going to Japan, where he already had some exposure through Stampede Wrestling, then eventually going to WCW, then eventually meeting Paul Lee in ECW, not going there, particularly going to ECW. He was only there for 22 days, 22 weeks? Or 22 appearances. Yeah, he did say in ECW had about 22 appearances in ECW, then he went to WCW, if I'm remembering correctly from the podcast. It was very enlightening. Now, is he hiding certain things? I believe every wrestler is not going to tell the 100% of the truth. But it depends on how much of the truth they're willing to say. Because you got some, here's 100%, here is rock bottom, never saying the truth. I say he was roughly about here. Somewhat a little bit more than half. Because he still has to be careful what he says for Tony Khan. He's still employed there. He also wants to make sure that Steve doesn't get himself in any major trouble, because he wanted to make sure that he gave him really good content to talk about, but not to get himself in any major trouble, and that's Steve. And he wanted to make sure that, I'm sure he even calculated, because the guy is very calculating. He made sure that Peacock got some good content. Next to Steve getting what he needs for his show, Peacock is going to get something really good, because this is going to show Peacock how great AEW's talent is. He pretty much talks about most of his run. Of course, he will not say anything about you-know-who, and that is the one who will never be named, because he knew him very well. He will not talk about him. He won't. He can't. So he's barred from that no matter what. Like many people are barred from talking about the one who will never be named. And you know who I'm talking about. The one who I spoke about in my very first videos when I first came on this channel. You get it. But he did talk about most people. He did talk about Eddie Guerrero. He did talk about Y2J. No, not Y2J. HBK. He did talk about how it was actually a pretty cool thing for him to actually interact with a guy who was actually one of his influencing heroes. He did. He did talk about how one of his teeth got split open when he was wrestling in a ladder match with Shawn Michaels. And a guy myself, who still has 2 wisdom teeth here, whose teeth were not completely out of whack, hearing that didn't make me feel any better about going to a dentist and trying to get these damn things straightened out. I really need someone to help me, and there ain't nobody right now. But you get my point. This was a very good podcast. But here's the question. What does this actually mean for AEW, WWE, Steve himself, Y2J? What does this really mean for both companies? What does this mean for Vince and Tony Khan? Does this mean they'll be willing to work together at any time? Generally, I don't believe so. I've said this before, and I do still believe this. No matter what anyone says, and you could see Chris Jericho was trying to make it look good. Now, I'm not saying he was lying about how Vince is. As I said in my video, and I believe it was episode 9 of the Gump Report, that I said Vince could be one of the nicest guys outside of wrestling. The nicest guy. And if he likes you and the work you gave. Even if you have to leave the company, if he knows that you left on good terms and respected him, he will always like you and willing to do any business with you. But we are still talking about NXT getting its ass handed to it by AEW. It doesn't make a difference what you think and whatever Triple H says, Paul Levesque. There is no way on this green earth Vince is not disappointed that his most smallest little promoting of his smallest brand or aspect of his brand was not going to whip Tony Khan's ass to a certain extent. He may have not been trying to drive it out of business, but he wanted to make sure how dominant WWE was to any upstart flat out. Because remember, before AEW, it was Impact Wrestling that was considered number 2 behind WWE. That's not an exaggeration. It has been like that for years, at least until it left Spike. And there's no way we can lie that even though it didn't have a very strong share in America while it was on Spike, it was WWE here, Impact here, and everyone else under it. That is how it was for many years. And now Vince, putting his most smallest part of his promotion on USA, believing that, oh yeah, my Nick show is not going to make a great point, but it's going to show how this upstart of a promotion with this upstart promoter is really not going to get anywhere. And it didn't. It didn't win much at all. AEW dominated 18 to 49 demographics. I'm now 50, but I still fit into 18 to 49 because I'm just about to turn 50. So, there you go. Vince is not going to take this lying down. On Tuesday, there are a few other promotions, like I said. MLW's on Tuesday. You got NWA on Tuesday. You got, I don't know any other promotions right now that's on Tuesday, but there's more than a few. Since Impact is now moved to Thursdays, they're not going to be in any type of conflict with them, so it's fine. But you're still going to see Vince's influence on NXT. And I saw a little bit of Raw. Last night. I'm not doing a review of it, but I can tell you this. That show was the most disappointing show you could see. You know why? Nothing happened. Yeah, the War Raiders came back, which is the Viking Raiders. And you got Charlotte coming back. But honestly, nothing. You always get something after WrestleMania, and this show is nothing. And now I hear that WrestleMania again appears. Backlash, I believe that's the name of this pay-per-view, is going to be called WrestleMania Backlash. Really? You decided, Vince, or Bruce, I don't care who came up with this concept, to honestly do another WrestleMania thing. Sticking Backlash with a WrestleMania name and possibly replaying most of the same matches that came from the 2-part WrestleMania. Unless they change it up, what a waste of time. It's a waste. They got 5 weeks before Backlash / WrestleMania is coming out. I'm not interested in looking at it, but as a reviewer, I'm going to probably check it. Now, AEW, what will they gain by Chris Jericho being there? They'll gain quite a lot. One of their stars is on Peacock, and they mentioned AEW. And if people who don't know what AEW is, they're going to say, okay, who's AEW? I got to check this. Oh, it's on TNT. You know, I never usually watch TNT. Maybe I'll watch it this time. It might drum up extra interest now because NXT is on this Tuesday. AEW is tomorrow. I'll give you like this. This is what I think is going to happen in the ratings for both shows. NXT coming out this Tuesday. Do I believe they'll hit 1 million? Yes. They'll easily hit pretty much maybe near 1 million or 1 million. They may even surpass it because no one is going to have to worry about both of them taking from each other because neither fan bases, the fan base for both companies have not grown. When it comes to NXT, the numbers never grew very big. It needed AEW. It's always been the same level of fan base, about 2 million people, roughly speaking. So they'll get maybe between a million, maybe near 800 or 900,000 to maybe 1.4 to 1.6 million people watching tonight. I probably might watch it because I want to see Taya Valkyrie. I don't think I'll make a review of it because I will be doing NWA in the morning because NWA will come out tonight and tomorrow morning I'm going to do a review of it. I will review NWA. But when it comes down to it, I don't know how big the numbers will be. It will be between 800 to maybe 1.6 million. Now, AEW is a little bit different. It's always been known that AEW has always had the bigger lion's share. 20,000, 30,000, 50,000, 100,000, 200,000 at most points of this battle as people saw them of the Wednesday Night Wars, which I never understood. It was stupid to even have this stupid conversation of one company going up against another one. But we did know that Vince did this on purpose. Vince did not need to put NXT on Wednesday. He could have put it Tuesday where it is right now, and there would have been no conflict, and it would have been Monday Raw, Tuesday NXT, Wednesday nothing, Thursday nothing, Friday SmackDown. It's as flat, easy as that. You never have to worry about it. But when it comes to AEW, the numbers will easily reach 1 million. And maybe they'll go from 1 million to 1.8 million. Maybe. Because this is still a question that people have heard that NXT is no longer on Wednesdays and it'll be Tuesdays. It's going to count on casual fans who find out, along with hardcore fans who have not been paying attention. But my guess is NXT will get maybe 800,000 to maybe 1.4 million people. Maybe. AEW is going to easily hit 1 million. Because a lot of the numbers are not going to be taken away from NXT. And it's go maybe to 1.8. It could exceed 1.8 and hit the 2 million mark. Could. Doesn't mean it will, but easily it could hit 1 million and maybe go to 1.3. My guess is they'll go to 1 million possibly easily, and they'll go maybe to 1.5 million. The best case scenario will be 1.8 million. If they hit 2, Vince is not going to be happy. I don't care what anyone says. Vince is not the type to like to see his numbers basically copied by another promotion, even if it's not on the same night. And especially one that beat his most niche part of his promotion. That's going to be something Vince is going to have to eat. But this is just me. And I hope you enjoyed this Gump Report. I think it's number 13. I'm not sure. And I'll probably find out later. I'm not going to put it into here, but I think it's 13 because if I'm right, Billy Kay, if you haven't seen my Billy Kay review, that's 12, I believe. Not 11, but 12. Gump Report 12. But I got to say this. I hope you enjoy it. And I am doing another one after this. So we might get 3 Gump Reports this week. Because this is about, you're not going to believe this, my thoughts on Alexa Bliss and The Fiend. I got to say something about Wyndham. I got to say something about Alexa and the decision of them being broken up. Peace.